What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Hardworking Happy Hour. I'm Sean.
And I'm Catherine, and as always, we'll be breaking down all things trades, entrepreneurship, and turning your creativity into a passion career. Hey, Sean.
What's going on? How we doing today?
Pretty good. Looks like you might have somebody sitting right next to you.
Whoa, hey, yeah, we do. Today we've got live in the studio Mr. Gordon South, WoodBully.
Live in New Jersey.
Straight from Canada.
Did you make that beat yourself on Fruity Loops?
Not Fruity Loops.
No?
Logic.
Or
no, actually, I made that in GarageBand.
Okay,
yeah.
Better.
You like it?
Royalty free?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I made it.
Yeah, that's the whole point. You didn't have to hire a producer.
Exactly.
Right? That's the way to do it. This is fun.
It's got a hot bass line, right? You like that?
Yeah.
Pretty tight.
I could tell it was a drum map. It was. I could hear it.
Yeah.
Oh, these
programmed.
musicians just rapping.
Just rapping here.
Yeah, I can hear it. It's too...
It's too tight, yeah.
Too tight.
Yeah. Well, we've got Mr. WoodBully here, down from Canada. He's in New Jersey. Stop by the studio here to, I guess, chat about all things wood, all things bully, all things construction in Canada, all that kind of stuff. And we're happy to have you here, pal.
Thank you. I'm glad you made some time for me because I was here. We're on the way to Rhode Island.
This is not on the way. We went way out of the way.
We were in Philly last night, and this is New Jersey, but technically it's 20 minutes away from Philly, so it's the same thing.
Basically, yeah.
That's the U.S. for you. And it was a rain day, so we couldn't go on the job site, so we're here.
Yeah.
What were you doing in Philadelphia? Just perusing or?
Kind of hanging out. I was looking for cheesesteaks.
Did you find one?
And honestly, I've never been to Philadelphia as a city, and we just wanted to know, what it was like. And it's almost exactly like Toronto in a lot of ways. It's one of the nicest, I don't know, aesthetically not, but it's for me, comfort-wise, it's one of the nicest cities I've been to in the U.S., and I've been to most of the major ones.
Wow. High praise.
And love a lot of people wouldn't say that.
Undeserved high praise, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people wouldn't say that, but I've been to, L.A., New York, Dallas, Atlanta, all those places, Miami, and most of them just freak me out a little bit because I'm Canadian, I'm foreign. We live in a big city, but it's kind of like Philly. It's not like New York, and it's not like LA. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Philly's okay. And did you end up getting a cheesesteak, or we? I
got cheesesteak empanadas at the hotel, but that's not the same. So we're not done yet. We're still there for tonight before we head up.
There you go.
Yep.
All right, cool. Well, glad to have you on the show here. And we did have you on a couple years ago. What was that, 2021, I think? Maybe 2022.
Might have been, yeah, I think.
Yeah, a while ago. Yeah. And so it's time for an update. A lot of things have changed in your world. You've got, expanded the business quite a bit. I think you had Chuck was working with you back then when we had you on, but now you've got a couple new hires. It seems like you're delegating a lot more. You are kind of branching out. Tell us a little bit about, you kind of, I guess, giving up a little bit of control, kind of stepping back a little bit. What's that been like?
The ultimate goal is to get out of the trenches, right?
What trench exactly?
The literal digging trenches part.
Okay, yeah. I don't like that part either.
Yeah, so the ultimate goal as a business owner is to step away and be able to manage the business from a different perspective. Because when you're in it every day, building, trying to answer the phone, things are going to slip through the cracks. And they always did. But I would just, keep trucking. I think what happened is just necessity. I was given opportunities, and in order to seize them, I had to figure out how to not be there. And that kind of forced me to figure out how to put other people in charge, whether they were ready or not, or I was ready to take the risk. I think in order to seize those opportunities, I had no choice. So it kind of just made sense to start giving people different jobs and hiring people. Also, taking on Samantha as a business partner changed the way we hire people significantly. So we're not just like me just hiring people who show up to the job site who are like fans who've seen it on TikTok, which is how I used to do it, or friends from like my old neighborhood or something. If they had somebody and say, come on out and try to work. And that would always end really badly because most people aren't as good at the job as you want them to be. I would say,
yeah,
I got lucky with Chuck. I would say every single other person I've hired myself was a complete fail. Yeah.
So you've delegated a lot of hiring. So is Sam doing most of the
Hiring?
Yeah,
it's just a process. We score them, multiple interviews to make sure that. But then in order to get the good candidates, we had to start paying more, adding company benefits, paying for their fuel, little things like that. And then also the apprenticeship program. I got the sponsorship, so now all my guys can enter the program, which in Canada is a big deal.
What is that exactly? That's
They call it the Red Seal.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard a lot of the Ontario.
I have a red seal carpenter. Yeah, that's a big thing.
It sounds really tough. I don't know if it is, but it sounds like
it's 4 years hands-on work, and then there's a bit of schooling each season. The problem is they're so far behind that guys like Chuck, who work underneath me, already have their hours doubled, and they're just waiting to get into the program to finish the schooling and get their Red Seal. So normally you work a whole season, then you take a month off for school, and you work a whole season, take a month off for school, and you do that for 4 years straight. You pass the tests, you do the schooling, blah, blah, blah. But now it's like, just wait and then do all your schooling all at once, like through one winter. Just take the whole winter off and go to school full time until it's done, after you've got triple what your hours are supposed to be, because they're way behind.
And what is that something that you need to like start your own business? What's the benefit of that?
The benefit of that, mostly bragging rights. It seems to be a big ego push. Like a lot of guys who have it, they don't take the other guys seriously without it. So like there's a big ego thing where it's like Red Seal carpenter, therefore I'm the shit and you're garbage if you don't have it. But the truth is, most of the Red Seal guys, they're good at the one thing they did to get the Red Seal, whether it's scaffolding, framing, just some form of building. And very rarely do you get people who are good at everything with the Red Seal, but they like to pretend that because they have the Red Seal, they're amazing. And it helps you with union jobs. So it gives you like this, there's a standard pay rate. If you have a Red Seal and you're joining the union, you're going to get that number, whether it's like 35, 45, 50 an hour to start.
Yeah.
You get to start at a higher pay rate. And I think that's most attractive to people who are, trying to raise a family and just pay a mortgage and stuff like that.
So now you're accredited, so you can, your hours can count towards that. And
I never got the Red Seal. I did it without it. So you don't technically need it. But in order for me to become a sponsor, I had to do all the rigmarole to get it. So for me, it was important to get it so that I could give it to the guys. Because not everyone wants to be an entrepreneur and start a business. Some people want to be a career carpenter. And the guys who really want to do carpentry as a career, they want the Red Seal because that's how they can say, yes, this is my career. You can't take it away from me. It's kind of like a master's degree.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. We don't really have that in the States, at least in Jersey. I mean, to be like a plumber or an electrician, you need a license from the state.
Yeah.
That does have, you have to have hours underneath a licensed
it's kind of the same
person, but
so some trades are compulsory, I believe is what they call it. So like electrical, plumbing, gas, and certain trades you have to have the Red Seal or you're not allowed to pull permits and you're not allowed to take on the contracts by yourself. Trades like carpentry and scaffolding and drywall and roofing, you can get it, and landscaping, and there's Red Seals even for craft work, which is just laboring. You don't need those, but they help you get jobs. They can help you get the foot in the door.
What's a Red Seal laborer?
My guy, I hired Dalton, actually, as a Red Seal craft worker. So he went through the whole program, did the experience, worked the union, got the Red Seal, and it's just to prepare the guys, mainly building bridges. Like his job would be to make sure he does everything that the carpenters need and the guys who build the decks and stuff need.
Okay.
And that's why he's actually an amazing hire, because he's literally been trained. He has a master's degree in making sure that everything's set up right.
That's actually amazing.
Yeah, that sounds
when
great.
you put it that way. Yeah, that sounds.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, I'm the opposite of that.
Yeah, exactly. Me too.
Yeah.
And that's why someone like him is so important to me. Another thing is hiring guys for the right position, not just because we get along, but the character fits. We don't hire people who are bad character fits, I would say, or bad personalities. Even if they're good at their job and they show up every day, if they're not getting along with the other guys, and we got to let them go.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what does the hiring process look like? Because you have brought on quite a few new people. What is it? How I'm imagining you're getting most of them through social media.
No, we're putting ads out on like ZipRecruiter type of stuff. but most of them know us from social media when they see the ad and they apply then. So in the interview, I think 3 of the guys that we hired most recently were like, oh, I thought you lived in California, until they walked into the interview room and they couldn't believe it was real. They thought it was a scam or something, or a fake WoodBully company or something like that. But I think the social media helps get them invested emotionally into the cause. And then once they get to know us, they're invested because we invest in them, they invest in us, and they know we're a team, as long as they don't do anything weird.
That sounded oddly specific.
That sounded like someone's done something weird.
Well, what is weird, right? It's a perspective, I guess. But
it's up for interpretation.
Yeah, I just mean like if you gel with the rest of us. You don't have to be the best worker in the world, but if you gel well and you're like us, and that's one of the hard things to figure out, because sometimes you hire guys that are just not a good fit, and technically they're not doing anything wrong, but these issues keep getting brought to you.
Yeah.
And you're like, this seems to be a reoccurring sore spot here. What are we going to do? And then that's why you got to...
So Sam's doing most of the hiring. Who's doing the firing?
Man, it's been me from day one, except for...
It seems like that's something that you would take joy in.
I don't.
Really?
I really suck at it, too.
Yeah.
Man, nothing worse than that, because I know it's an opportunity that they appreciate. They're happy to be there. And I know I have to let them go for the good of the company. And it just sucks.
Yeah.
I hate it. And
yeah,
if it wasn't so disrespectful towards them to hire someone else to do it for me, I would. But then I feel like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. I feel like I'm not doing them like I'm being disrespectful by having someone else do it. Unless I'm on the road or something. Like, what am I supposed to do, right? I don't know. What do you do?
I don't know. I'm not the person to ask for this. I'm really not good at it.
You ever see Game of Thrones when Joffrey tried to behead that guy?
I've seen all the episodes.
It's really sloppy. Takes like 3 shots at it. It's messiest beheading ever, and that would be me trying to fire somebody.
Yeah,
as an analogy.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'm not very good at that. Luckily, I haven't really had to do it much at all.
What? So who does it?
Nobody.
What do you mean? What, they just leave?
Everyone just stays or leaves away? On the road.
They stay or they leave, yeah.
So you've never had to fire someone who goes, please, why are you firing me? Give me another chance.
It's happened before, and I let them stay, and
then they keep repeating the offense?
No, everything changed.
You're kidding.
No, I'm dead serious.
I've always had this belief that people don't change, and when somebody is like a certain way, it's a losing battle, and I don't bother. But Samantha is the opposite, and she feels like everyone has a chance to be rehabilitated. So we usually meet in the middle somewhere.
Anyway,
yeah. I feel like it's with certain employees, it's always like some people are just young and they just don't have the like life experience to like know, or it's like this is a pattern in your behavior that like this isn't changing. This is not. This is just who you are as a person. This isn't going to work. But sometimes there are things where it's like you just need like a kick in the ass, or you need some sort of like life lesson.
Yeah.
And maybe that firing is that thing. And to change them.
But we hire them now to the point where it's like guys don't come in who don't show up in the morning and don't know how to use the tools. Mm-hmm. But I used to just like basically empty out a group home and be like, let's get to work, boys, and wonder what's going on. And yeah, I'm exaggerating, but not really. Like literally that's, and then send them on job sites where they're not really ready. But I just assumed everyone's like me, like you're ready to go, ready to get it, you're hungry. But a lot of people aren't that way, and we make those mistakes.
Yeah, I loved when I was talking to Sam about it at IBS. I loved how she was talking about how she like you guys actually sit down and grade people.
Yeah,
and like there's lots of different like metrics that you're kind of
so
taking into account.
Yeah, if you got a job with me, it means there was like 10 people that you interviewed better than, and now we're willing to take a shot. And sometimes you get a guy who's actually good at his job, but he doesn't fit socially, and then that sucks. But he wouldn't be happy either. He'd be happier somewhere where they tell the same jokes, they laugh at the same things, and at the same pace that he likes, right? Instead of the way we do it, which is it's just the way it is. I don't know. It's they call it company culture, right? Yeah,
definitely.
So it's a thing. It's not fake. It's not just a buzzword.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some people that don't fit in your company culture might fit great somewhere else. And same with us. I think we've just been lucky to mostly have people that fit pretty good. and they either stay or they leave under their own free will.
Do you ever have guys who want to work for you because of the social media thing, and then after a dose of what it's actually like, they go, I'll go back to whatever.
Yeah, probably. That's probably happened, I'd say.
Because we make it look fun.
Yeah. I think, there's just different types of people, like people that haven't like been in the trades for a long time and haven't done this type of thing and worked for a bunch of different companies. They really don't know like the full experience of what it's supposed to be like. So compared to that, I think we are super laid back. It's, much easier pace. It's, compared to that, like, asshole construction boss that's always screaming at everybody.
Yeah.
Like everybody that's like grown up in the trades knows a boss like that, and they appreciate that this is a little bit easier going, where if you come from something else like an office job, you're like, oh, it seems so nice to just be outside and building, and look, it looks so fun, and they're always laughing in the videos. And then you get there and it's like, it seems really difficult to those people. It's snowing, it's freezing, it's super hot. And they kind of see it as the opposite thing. They don't have that experience of like, wow, this is pretty laid back for construction.
Yeah, because people like me and the guys that work for me all been through the Gordon Ramsay foreman who screams and throws things and has mental health issues that have never been addressed in his life. And that's how we were trained. So it makes us better at our jobs, but it also makes us treat people differently. But the problem is I won't be able to train them with that same stern hand so they'll never be as good at making decisions under pressure as we will, because we were literally emotionally abused, sometimes physically abused, while we were being trained to do this trade.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, that seems a little bit exaggerated.
So I'm doing them a disservice where I should maybe every so often hire a drill sergeant to come in.
Maybe.
Like
And just
a Scared Straight program?
Yeah, and just be like, you know what it was like 10 years ago on this job site? And then throw measuring tape at his head or something.
That's at least a really good skit that you could do, if nothing else.
We do that sometimes as a joke. Like I had a viral video a few years ago where I ripped the Tyvek down because it was upside down.
Yeah.
And obviously Tyvek doesn't care if it's upside down. That's just a logo they printed on the coated woven, whatever they call it. But we thought it'd be funny to act like I was throwing a fit on the job site. And then most people believed I was.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny. And Chuck's twice the size of me. So they're like, why is he just sitting there letting this guy do this? We thought that was hilarious too. But I edit it perfectly where you don't see anybody laugh or anything. Just look real serious. And I bring that on myself. But yeah, we should do that more often. We should hire a drill sergeant to come in.
That'd be pretty funny. Yeah.
To the new kids, make them cry.
Yeah, I think that sounds...
Tears out of the way.
What could be bad about that, really? I mean, it's just, that seems...
But don't you ever feel like you're kind of doing them a disservice by not giving them a hard time? Like, you're kind of like...
No, I think... I do get what you're saying. I don't think it's a disservice, but I do think when somebody stops working for us and then they go work for somebody else, it's kind of like, okay, now you get to see what the real world's like.
And it sucks.
You think that I get moody sometimes and I get in a bad mood. You ain't seen nothing yet. Go in the real construction world, and everybody, like you said, they've got unaddressed mental health issues, that are repressed feelings for years and years and years.
And they take it all out on the new guys.
Yep. So I look at it more as, you might leave. And if this is your only experience in construction, you're in for a rude awakening.
Yeah, you're going back to school after.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
And that's another thing when influencers say that construction is better than office jobs. Like, I hear influencers say it all the time. Of course, if you're an influencer in construction, your job is better than probably being an accountant's assistant or a bookkeeper or something. But
an accountant's assistant,
or whatever it is that they're comparing it to. When they say office job, they don't mean they don't mean like a lawyer or an accountant or a brain surgeon. They mean like entry level office job, like busy work kind of thing. And technically yes, but also no, right? Now, as an influencer, I could say that my job's better than being a doctor. I actually do feel that way. But as someone who's literally digging ditches for an hourly rate, It's not.
All right. So let's break this down a little bit. So this is maybe a little, I wouldn't even, controversial is probably a little bit exaggerated, but let's just oh, this is so controversial. All right. There is a lot of people that just, there's this resurgence of making the trades cool again. And, it is so much cooler. And Ant kind of talked about this when he was on a couple weeks ago. So there is this talk and this kind of feeling out there on Instagram and social media that's like, oh yeah, the trades are so much cooler than working in an office, and it's so rewarding. And a lot of that is true, and I think that to an extent it is true for the right people. Like the people that see that and say, yeah, you know what, it is so much better than being inside, or the people that couldn't be in an office. Like I couldn't be in an office.
Neither could I, but it's not because...
but I would be so bad at it that I would get fired.
Exactly. It wasn't because I made the choice like, oh, it's just not for me. It's because I'm an idiot and I had to do construction. I didn't get the opportunity to be a brain surgeon and passed on it so I could dig ditches for a living.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, honestly, if I would like being a brain surgeon. That seems...
Stop. You get to work your hands and your brain at the same time. And other people's brains.
Yeah. Other people's brains.
That's just, the stakes are too high. The stakes are too high for that.
Pressure is insane. But I mean, brain surgeon's just say an engineer. You think you couldn't be, or an experimental scientist in some way where you still get to do stuff, you get the satisfaction of completing something, but you get paid a lot more and you work a lot less, and whatever company you work for is going to treat you better than the average job site. It's going to be better security for your family. It's going to have a more long-lasting career. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
And people are, being on a roof in the dead of winter, framing it, or what the are you talking about? It's not better. But if you're a roofer who's also an influencer and you're making an extra $200K a year for sponsorships, yeah, that's an amazing job. Keep it. Don't let it go. But if you're a roofer making $18 an hour, it's not better. They're lying to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like you're comparing entry level positions to high level white collar positions. Because I worked my way up through white collar. I started with an entry level position, and then I was pretty high up in what I was doing. And that's not me. I don't like having such a buttoned up, rigid life. And now now that I'm on the trade side, I was never really an entry level laborer. I'm not pretending that I was, but kind of working my way up that side. I think that
in the best company in New Jersey.
Yes, in the best company. But I think that if you take an entry level laborer and then you don't move past a laborer position, then that's your own fault. That's the idea is if you work your way up in the trades, you could be the project manager who's just in his car driving around from site to site making reports, and there's all sorts of different things that you can do to
and now you're in an
graduate
office
off of that labor.
Wheel. It's just an office with a steering wheel. Now it's the same thing. I think a lot of people, most people in construction do well, with the ADD, ADHD kind of thing, because it's the connection of ideas to physical things, and you get to keep yourself busy. And most of those people do very poorly in school, so they never got the opportunities to do white-collar jobs unless their parents intervened, put them through programs, helped them manage their symptoms or whatever. I don't know. I'm not an expert, but most of us end up doing day labor out of, if we finish high school, if we don't, whatever. And my thing is just, I feel like the influencers are saying that that's better than staying in school. Drop out and learn how to frame a roof. Not, you know what I mean? It's just, I'm sorry, but coming from someone who never had the opportunity, the only reason I even started a company is because it was the best opportunity I had to have success. It wasn't like I had other things going for me. I got my first job from an ex-cop who used to hire criminals out of the courthouse. One of them was my uncle, gave me the job at 15 digging ditches so I could make money, and in an honest way, where it's the whole, what do they say, dirty hands, clean money or something like that. But is that saying at the top of the white collar world, where you were, all your money was blood money? What are you trying to say? I feel like it's just insecurity.
Wait, where did this go to blood money? I missed the connection.
What does that mean? So dirty money, clean hands. So now the money is dirty because your hands are clean?
The opposite of that.
No. I'm not saying that what I was doing was bad or it just wasn't for me.
But what
lots
does that
of people
saying mean? What are they insinuating? Are they insinuating that anyone with an office job makes dirty crime money?
I would say that there's. I mean, I'm not saying that anybody was doing anything illegal, but I think that you're selling your soul. It's more like you're selling your soul a little bit. It's like
if
a
anything,
soul-sucking thing.
Like, yeah, there's that insider trading earning but most contractors are working for cash under the table, which is technically dirty money.
That's dirty money, yeah.
That's dirty money.
For me,
all money's dirty money.
My perspective is this: as a spectator, I'm seeing two sides that are both insecure with their choices, and they like to insult the other to kind of reinforce the choices that they've made.
I think that's a good way to put it, because I think that you shouldn't have people in the trade saying, don't go work in an office, that's lame, it's stupid, you're gonna be a loser. And there also shouldn't be, like, I think that's an overcompensation
because they think the guy in the office is like, look at those losers digging ditches down there. But that's the truth. You chose to dig ditches, so the guys in the office are going to think you're an idiot, but that's okay, right? Because you made your choice. You love it.
Yeah, I mean, digging ditches is a bit of a. And the guy,
the guy carrying steel beams is going to think the guy in the office is a pussy, and maybe he is, but that's the choice he made, so that's okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think that it should really be somewhere in the middle, that different things are for different people. I don't think I would do well in an office. Yeah, I didn't do very well in like a school structured setting. So being outside, being able to just like do a little of this and then go over there. And, part of that is because I started my own company. So like there's nobody to fire me besides myself, because I probably would get fired somewhere else.
So would you say that it's a good move to drop out of school and start a construction company? Or would you say it's a good move to maybe explore your options and see if you can do something better?
I think that I don't know. That's like a loaded question. I mean, it depends. Do you...
Both answers are to suit my agenda in the conversation.
Yeah. So, like, are you going to have to take out loans to go to school? Do you have something that you're like sort of passionate about that you're pursuing? Or are you just going for like a liberal arts degree?
Well, who cares about the loan? What's the loan? Everyone's so scared of loans and mortgages and stuff, yet they line up to get them, and they're terrified of them at the same time. What's the difference? Like, I'm asking you a genuine question. Every time you take on a contract, you take on a huge risk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why isn't that something you say, no, you don't want to do that?
Well, because you got to weigh the risk reward. Like, college has gotten so expensive that the reward doesn't match the risk. You can go into hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt to go get a 4-year degree, and then you're getting out and you're going into an entry-level position that you could basically make almost the same entry level just going into the trades.
I just have this weird, like, if the world was soup, I'd be eating it with a fork kind of thing, and I just don't understand the motivation that everyone has, or the fear that everyone has of, like, if it's a risk versus reward and college is too expensive and you'd rather get started now and cap yourself off a little lower. Like the game, you ever play the board game Life?
Yes.
When you get started as a plumber, instead of going to college, you're like, yeah, I'm killing it for like 3 runs, and then the people who went to college just start lapping you like crazy.
It can happen that way, yes. And that's a board game, though. That's not actual
How many guys
life.
do you know who got started in the trades early, who were killing it when we were in our early 20s, who now are struggling because they haven't moved?
Sure, yeah. There's plenty of people like that, but there's plenty of people on the opposite end of that as well.
Oh,
we're kind of talking in circles here anyway. Let's move on to the next topic. I think that the truth is that, maybe to an extent, the trades can be over glorified on social media, and it's harder than it kind of seems, but
it's rewarding.
It can be, yeah. It can be really rewarding. And
any way but financial. Go for it. Get it, kids.
Yeah. I mean,
it's just like Legos.
Sort of.
It's more fun. You get to do it every day.
You're not a good spokesperson for getting people in the trades at all.
I just don't want people to get the wrong idea. I wouldn't tell my son that he should drop everything and go learn a trade, because that's what my parents told me, because it's the best they knew. Like, you need to join the union. You'll never make it any other way. What are you talking about?
feel like we just need to stop telling kids what to do and let them figure it out.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like I'm just going to tell Max, do whatever you want, dude.
Yeah.
Live your life
Just
and be
be
happy.
the best at whatever
Yeah,
you're
just
doing, and you're
whatever
going to
you
be
want.
fine.
Thank you.
And I know that if he's like me, he's not going to listen to me no matter what I say anyway.
He's going to
so.
try other things for the first, 10 years of his adult life until he figures out what he has to do, because he has a support system at home that'll allow him to do that.
Sure,
That's
yeah.
the way it should be. That's the way the suburban, affluent kids should be raised, and that's the way I'd like to raise mine. Yeah, differently than what I did.
All right, so moving on to our next topic here. Running the job site when you are, kind of off doing other things, letting go of some of that control. Like what does the process from selling a job to completing a job kind of look like? What different hands does it get passed through, like, from
I
the
still
sales?
sell the jobs.
Okay.
I still do most of the customer service, like the direct over the phone communication stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I create the contracts, the numbers, and I create the schedule. And the schedule is what the guys on site and the customer both have a copy of, which very rarely stays on.
What's that look like? What's the copy of the schedule?
Okay, so we break everything down into phases, where phase 1 is demolition foundation, phase 2 is frame, phase 3 is everything else. Sometimes everything else could take way longer than the other two phases, but they're also the most expensive phases are the early ones, because that's where everything has to get purchased. That's where, there's machinery, concrete, helical piles, things coming in. So the schedule would be a breakdown of how many days, working days, each phase would take and why. So it's sort of like a spreadsheet, but it will say, like, here's the start day, and then if there's a vacation of a guy, I'll leave it out of the schedule. Or if there's a day where we're traveling to a trade show or something and the whole team's coming with us, we'll leave that out so they can see the blocked off parts where when we're not on site. If that happens, they see it in the schedule beforehand, so they know that we're not going to be there, March 20th to 25th. They know that, expect to see no one on site. But the issue is, if we don't achieve our goals before we leave, we could leave ourselves open for a possible email of, somebody saying that they're feeling a little uncomfortable with the current schedule. And so the schedule goes off all the time, and then I have to make a new one. It's called the catch-up schedule, right? And now we're going to, figure out how we're going to get some of our lost time back, if we lost it to weather or delays, or the inspector wanted to see something that wasn't originally there, or one of the subs, say that the concrete pump guy couldn't make it to this thing, and then we had to start framing the deck before we could pour the concrete on the cabana foundation, and now we have a whole new cattywampus thing that we have to, so I have to sit down and make a new schedule again, and that happens a lot. Yeah, because it's construction. You can't know where we're going to be.
Yeah, for sure.
We can say where we'd like to be.
Yeah, I think number one, I think your clients probably really like elements of that schedule, like knowing when somebody's, knowing not to expect anyone to be on site on certain days. Just it's a way of, like, clearly communicating exactly what's going to be happening. Like, you can't over communicate what people need to expect. So I think that's awesome, but can lead into the problem of nothing ever goes as planned, and schedules never. Yeah,
but every battle is won before it's fought, right? So the least we can do is plan. Now, whether it goes to plan or not, that's up to the universe to decide. Sometimes it really is. It's like,
have you ever said that to a client?
Yeah. I'm like, well, it's construction, and it's like predicting weather. There's no scientific equation that will get it exact. I'm sorry. So even when I have a content schedule, if I have like a sponsorship or a partner, and they want to know when I'm going to be using their product on my build at what time 6 months from now, I'm sorry, I do not have that as an answer for you. Period. It's just not happening. I can lie to you and tell you any date, but that would be a lie.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's why, like, we don't give clients like an
I don't
exact
have a schedule for that either, but I give my clients a schedule for the construction, just as a hey, we're doing
Here's
our
the
best.
guidelines.
We're doing our best over here, and this is our goal. I also say, let's treat these as goals, not as hard stops. And if the guys are hitting their goals, everyone's happy. And if they're not, we're going to adjust, make new goals, and we're going to push. And I always find that we never finish on time, but without the schedule, we go way over on time.
Yeah.
We at least get it close when we schedule.
And that's kind of how we do it as well, but the schedule's more internal. We kind of just give a vague, like, we'll give like a 2-week kind of window. We'll say this project's going to take roughly 6 to 8 weeks,
And
4 to 6 weeks.
And then it takes 6 months.
We haven't had any like that. Not even close.
Well,
we had anyone with a material delay that stopped everything and you had to come back later?
No.
You've never had that? That's
nothing,
crazy.
Nothing that, like, if there was something that was, I mean, our clients are pretty flexible too. So if it's like, hey, this one material is going to be, like a certain color's back order or something, say, hey, all right, here's the option. We can leave right now and leave you a half built backyard, or we switch to this very similar color and it's still going to look awesome and we can do it right now. And nobody ever picks, oh, let's just wait 6 months.
Well, we have a project right now where we're doing 4-foot by 8-foot sheets of porcelain going into stepping stones. And that takes, 6 to 12 weeks.
How big is it?
4 feet by 8 feet, like the size of a sheet of plywood.
Yeah.
But they're porcelain tiles that we're laying on top of pads that we're pouring first.
Okay. Yeah.
And that takes time. So is it going to be here in 6 weeks or 12 weeks? I don't know. One of those, hopefully, but probably 15.
Yeah, and we did the planning, and now it's up to the universe.
Exactly.
To decide.
I've done everything I could.
Client, it's out of our hands. Both of us.
I sent them the money. They know how important it is. They'll do what they can.
Client, let me ask you something. Do you believe in God?
Yeah. Or do you just believe in like a higher magnetized universal thing?
Either way, it's up to them. It's not up to me anymore, okay? If you're going to get mad at anybody, get mad at the universe, not me.
You like to gamble.
Yeah. All right, so...
So worst case scenario, we make sure everything's done before that one variable has to be dealt with, and then hopefully it comes before then. And that's how we would do it.
Love that.
If that's possible. But sometimes it's not possible. Sometimes the variable is smack dab in the middle of a build and has to be done before you can go forward. And then what do?
Yeah, I don't know.
Communicate. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say communication is definitely
That's how we
key.
do it.
I always try to over communicate as much as I can, just to keep them up to date on what to expect, what's happening, what's going to be happening next.
Yeah. I always answer my phone and make sure if I don't answer my phone, I return the call as soon as possible to every client ever, no matter what it is. Because I find that the more you communicate, the happier they are and the calmer they are. I think there's a lot of bad contractors.
Yeah.
And they're always worried you're the guy who's going to drop the toilet, rip apart half the fence, take 30 grand, and then leave for 6 months.
Yeah.
Or they're worried that you're the guy who's going to just get started, ask for more money, and then leave and never come back.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think if you leave the client to, try to answer these questions on their own when they're unsure about something, they're going to maybe jump to the worst conclusion and say, oh my God, everything's messed up. Everything's, nothing's working out right here. Yep. Oh, they're not going to come back. And
some people, they work really hard and they save their money for years to be able to have you come out and make a living space for them. And the last thing they want to do is think that they've squandered it on some moron. Yeah. Or a criminal. Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Which, on the record, I am neither of those. Well, moron, I don't know. Maybe.
I'm not. Well, moron sometimes.
Yeah. But, okay.
Never make a mistake on purpose. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I know I'm supposed to be for the trades, but I'm also just for the truth. Don't do it, kids.
Well, are you actively trying to talk people out of going into the trades, or just being...
It's not for everyone. Don't think that it's like the new... It's not the new white collar. It's still the blue collar trade, and you still have to do the work.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for like fun, you're being lied to.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just a negative Nancy, but I'm kind of in the boat of you just choose your hard, because every job sucks. It's always a job. There's going to be fun parts and there's going to be shitty parts. So choose your hard.
I am delusional, but I'm also in a position where it's really easy for me to say that building decks is awesome. Mm-hmm. It's really easy for me to say that this is the best career, but I don't forget the days where I worked building decks for a living and felt like I was squandering my actual potential in life.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they thought, oh, here's the handyman coming to do his little thing. I guess I'll get cash out and pay him with my bare hands if I have to. And
it sounds like some like weird unresolved trauma.
It's not unresolved trauma. It's unresolved. Like, I didn't have options. So now people are coming into this last resort career and going, it's what I've always wanted, and I wouldn't pick it any other way. It's like, are you sure? You don't want to try to sing or something? Or do something else? Play football? Sing? I don't know. How else do you escape poverty? You learn how to rap. You learn how to throw a football. You learn how to act. What else do? You don't dig ditches and build fences. That's not going to get you where you need to go unless you want to do it with an influencing thing. Just whatever. Just change the subject here. Give me something better. People, you know what the problem is that.
Oh wait, are we still just going?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can agree to disagree,
okay.
and I'm happy with that. I want to make one thing clear. If you disagree with me, I still respect your opinion, and I still think we're friends.
Yeah,
no matter who it is out there.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, you keep going back to the ditch digging
because that's what I had to do.
Yeah, nobody aspires to. Even the people that want to be, like, blue collar is so cool. Nobody's like, I want to dig ditches.
Well,
They're
sometimes
like,
that's your whole company.
I want to be a carpenter.
But sometimes you're a post hole guy.
But nobody. There is no like movement where people are thinking that's cool. Like, yeah, I'm gonna be a ditch digger. Forget working in a freaking office.
Maybe we should bring that back. Maybe I should start leaning the other way. Be like, you really want to do labor forever. Yeah. You want to do entry level, minimum wage forever, and then blame politicians or your boss and make sure you're very jealous of his success. Yeah, do that.
That's kind of the American way.
It's Canadian.
It's always politicians.
Whoever's in charge, it's their fault that I'm a fucking fall down loser. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds. All right, so now you've sold the job. You have a schedule that you're not going to stick to.
I am going to stick to it, but it's more of a goal-oriented schedule. It's more of a ambition. Like, this is what would be fucking awesome if we could do this, boys. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then I'll have a meeting with the guys. We'll go over we'll get the plans printed out. So the initial design, the initial meeting is a consultation. We walk around the backyard. We tell them to forget that this existing structure is even there. Let's imagine it as a blank white canvas that we can paint something brand new on. So a lot of people get tied up in what the existing thing looks like. They want to either build it the same way or change just a little. No, that's coming down. I'm telling you, it's hideous. And we're going to do something even better. And then we do a design. A conceptual 3D mixed with some building plans, but we wait on the engineering plans until they accept the design, obviously. And once they see the concept, they're like, wow, love it, or make some changes. We usually go back and forth once or twice. Usually not more than that. It's probably the same with you. And then once they're happy with it, we sign the job. And with that comes a small deposit as a gesture of trust. And also for us, we don't take on any liability because now we have to pay engineers to turn these drawings into building plans. And we have to start ordering the 9 to 12 week crap now, right? To get that out of the way.
And what's that deposit? Is it a percentage of the total? Is it just a flat fee?
So I used to do 10% of the ideal budget. This was during like the boom of like 2020, 2021.
So when you say 10% of the ideal budget, what does that proposal look like?
If you
is
go
it
to
a
me,
fixed
hey,
price, or
I got $100,000. I'm confident and comfortable spending that and only that. I'll go, okay, so $10,000 down. They'll hold your spot, and we'll start the design and engineering process now.
Okay.
But once we have the design process, then the design is complete. Now I can give them an accurate numbers, and those numbers are solid. Once you sign, they don't change unless you change the plans. Then we do change orders up front on the spot. If we have to redesign, we'll redesign. But most of the time, the change orders, we'll just like put an X on the design, like this is gone, and we drop the price, or this is being added, and we raise the price, and they have to pay that up front, so there's no confusion at the end of the contract. So the whatever we sign for is what you get. We never charge extra. We don't go after the job's done and like, well, guess what? It actually cost us more to finish the job. That'd be my problem. I have to eat shit on that. So then once we get the deposit, we make the design and blah, blah, blah. They have the numbers. They're happy with them. Say it ends up being 120 or 80 or 90 instead of the 100. They have to accept that. Or we make concessions and change some things to fit the budgets. And then once we're actually started, we get the building plans. The guys and me meet at the table. We go over what we have in stock, what we don't, what we need to order in time to do this, to make sure it's in our yard and ready to go, and make sure they know what they're doing. And we'll address certain little spots that that I can already foresee they're going to have questions on. And we just have bi-weekly meetings to do all that kind of stuff. Every other Friday, which is pretty much payday for the guys, we'll do a company meeting in the morning before they go to site. I'll eat breakfast, sit around the boardroom.
And what? How many jobs are you doing at a time?
At the most 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got kind of 2 separate crews that are going out, tackling jobs. And how often are you on site now? Like right now, you're in New Jersey, so you're not on site. I know you're going to JLC. We're going in a couple days here.
I was on site last Wednesday.
Okay.
When was it? Tuesday.
Last Tuesday.
And it was a beautiful sunny day. And so the guys think that's just when I show up.
And when are you going to be back? Next Tuesday?
Early April. I'll be home early April. And we're filming a Beat the Bully episode April 1st. So I'll be there. That's the Tuesday. So the Monday, I probably won't be visiting the job site until like April 3rd or something. She's winking. I don't know. Also, I don't do my schedule anymore. I have an assistant that does my scheduling for me.
Who is your assistant?
Her name is Shannon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it's not Sam.
You probably would have met her at IBS.
Yeah, I met her.
She's not just my assistant, but right now that's like
a role that she's
I
filling.
Desperately have like blank spots up here, like in my brain, that need to be filled. And I think it's just a matter of overdoing it. Like I said, maybe I got a blue collar brain and I got a white collar job, so it's hard to fill the gaps there of the certain intellectual points that I'm falling behind on, because I don't know what day it is right now. I have no idea, and part of that is because I've let other people handle that part while I handle other things, and my brain just dumps unnecessary information like my kids' birthdays, what day it is, my anniversary, just things like that. My brain just dumps it. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I think I can relate to that to a good degree.
Yep.
I think an assistant for me would probably somebody handle my calendar and handle my emails and my correspondence would be great. Because my mind is kind of a jumbled mess as well. So you're checking in every, let's just say 2 weeks on the job.
And sometimes I'm there for other things, like certain things I think I really have to be there for this.
Yeah.
But it's getting less and less, and I trust them more and more. And to be honest, between Chuck and Josh, the 2 guys that are in charge, they can probably do a better job without me there bothering them and talking and distracting people and coming up with ideas that are off plan because I think they're cool in the moment.
Yeah.
I think that also screws things up. And that's probably why I struggled to stay on schedule for so many years. Because it'd be like, it'd be really cool. And then it would just be something ridiculous that would up, and then I would do it.
Yeah, I've definitely been there for sure. So, how has it been like stepping back from the job and relinquishing some control? Was that difficult? What was?
It was a necessity. So I always thought that when I step back, it'd be like I'm chilling on a beach and I'm making all the money and doing none of the work. But really, I had to step back in order to manage the things that I wasn't managing correctly. So it's still a full-time gig, even if I get to be in New Jersey or I get to be in the car or I'm in Florida or something's happening. I'm still constantly working, constantly with the phone on, constantly solving problems, constantly moving money, doing what I have to do to make sure the business is running and everything is going well and answering questions and making decisions. So it's kind of like a real CEO job now, I guess, is what I would say. But it's not like I didn't retire. Like if that's how some people look at it, that's, if anything, I'm working more now, but it's like around the clock. I'm always doing something towards the business until I fall asleep, and then I wake up and start again.
Yeah.
But now I have time, especially with somebody helping with the schedule, to be semi-present for other people other than myself.
And what I'm kind of gathering from this is as crazy and scattered as that sounded, coming out of your mouth. I'm not sure if you're cognizant of how scattered that sounded, but
I'm just explaining how I'm thinking, which is not good. It's fractured.
I think what you're trying to say is now you're able to really key in on what makes you special and leverage that. Your unique outside of the box thinking. You can really work on that, putting that extra special sauce on the business and figuring out kind of those higher level moves of where the business should go. And you're not, stuck down in the weeds as much doing the things that you're probably not as suited for.
I don't know if special's the word.
Well, it depends how you use it.
Yeah. Maybe it is the
Depends
word.
how you use it.
I don't think what I'm doing is uniquely a talent of mine. I've always felt like it's just a position I decided to put myself in, and now I'm doing it. So I think the biggest thing that I do that the guys don't is make decisions faster and more confidently, because I'm the one who has to clean up the mess afterwards. So it's really just, I make decisions for a living at this point. And that can be exhausting. And I found out there's something called decision fatigue. And I experienced it firsthand when somebody would try to talk to me and I'm not even there. And I'm making decisions in the universe. Like my brain is gone to another planet and deciphering multiple things, because we also run the media company, not just a construction company. So I'm running two companies at the same time with sets of clients that both have the same gross sales margin. And we have to satisfy both of these things at once. And this was the dream. This was what I set out to do. I did work every single day for years to get here, but it's hard. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Everything's hard, you know?
It's just, if it's worth doing. But not everything worth doing is... What's the thing I always tell people?
I'm not sure.
You're not. I'm going to tell you.
Right, yeah,
okay. Everything worth doing is hard, but not everything hard is worth doing. Remember, kids.
That's actually, I like that. Yeah, that's like actually good. That's good. Did you come up with that?
I did, because I realized that digging ditches isn't going to make you rich, but it's hard work.
That's true.
But if you want to get rich, you're going to have to work really hard, just not that way. So another way. Right?
That's good. You should put that on a t-shirt. I really like that.
The whole thing or the one quote?
The whole, like the last 5 minutes. Just put all of that in really small
close
font.
To read it, and it might be worth your while. But yeah, so everything worth doing is hard to do, but not everything hard to do is worth doing. And sometimes you got to know when to drop it and move on. But I'm very stubborn too. So when I create goals, even if they're not healthy for me, or if they're not, contributing to the ultimate goal, I'll see them through like an idiot.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm bad for that. Really bad for that, but it's part of the reason why I'm here too.
Yeah, I think with goal setting, I can be a little bit like that at times too, and it's you don't know whether necessarily that goal was worth chasing until you kind of get there. There might be some signs, but I think there's too many people out there that decide on their way to that goal that this goal's not really for me anyway, and it's just like kind of an easy way of giving up on something.
Yeah, maybe.
So I think seeing things through, even if you get a hunch,
like you're already
3/4 of the way, like
it's going to cost you $100,000 and a year off your life, but you're going to keep
going. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's how stupid I am. But I think that's the only reason I made it on the social media side, is because there were times where I should have stopped. Like, why don't you focus? Like all the boomers in my comments would be like, put the phone down and get back to work. I'm like, no, because I don't want to do the work anymore. You don't understand. Like, the more I feel myself doing it, the less I have to do it. And it's not that I didn't hate the job. I love the idea of creating something from nothing, taking nature and chopping it up into rectangles and stuff and making something out of it. That's cool. But every day, I want a day where I get to hang out with my kids on a beach, or I get to take my kids to Disneyland. And honestly, on a regular carpenter salary, that wasn't going to happen for me. So, sorry. That's why I made the switch.
There you go.
For the cheddar.
We like to say on here, it's not all about the cheddar, but it is partially about the cheddar.
I was always told that if I could get paid to talk, that I'd do great.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. So that's what I did. And I also liked entertaining. I like being funny. I like talking. I like educating. I like teaching people things. So it just came naturally, actually, to do it.
Yeah.
The whole DIY and pro tips and stuff like that. It's like I just kind of enjoy that more than I enjoy anything else. And I spent 15 years learning the trade before I started my own company. A lot of people might not know that, but there's some advice. Learn the trade before you start your business, because then you can be the first guy you hire, and you can actually do the whole thing by yourself properly, right?
Yeah. It's good to have an overarching knowledge of how the whole thing goes together. I think there are a lot of people that are getting into this industry, especially like over COVID, when there was just such a massive boom of demand, that people don't like, they think they can just get into this business, sub everything out, and and it's going to be fine. And maybe
you might get lucky, get the right subs.
Yeah, but most of the time, it's probably not going to be the best way to go. So
you might as well put your money in the stock market.
Yeah.
It's so the way I look at it, like if you know the trade before you start the business, you can run it safer, less risk involved to the clients and your reputation, but you run the risk of getting stuck as an operator, owner, and still doing the work. Where if you come in with no knowledge, you came out of business school, decide to open a deck building company or something, you're pretty much going to be hands off right from the beginning. And that's going to help you grow your business faster as long as you're lucky for those first couple years.
Yeah. So you, we kind of got the whole rundown. You know, you worked for somebody else for 15 years, started your own business. Now you're doing a lot of content. You're delegating a lot of stuff.
I worked for a lot of different people over those 15 years. Definitely not one person.
Well,
that would be something else.
You look like you'd float around a little bit.
Ooh.
You know.
Well, no, it just depends. So when I got the fence job, I was 15, and he only had work for the summers.
Yeah. And
I would do that pretty much every summer. And then in between, I had to find other jobs. So whether it was commercial construction, flooring, things that were indoors in the winter, or factory jobs from temp agencies, I had to do what I had to do to get by. And I was a high school dropout with a baby, so it wasn't like I was going to get my white collar career and climb the corporate ladder. Oh, the stress would have been such a burden for me. But you guys have no idea.
There's definitely, you need to talk to some therapist about
that's what this is.
Yeah, I think so. In a lot of ways.
Honest, I'm just open about my opinions, and I'm honest.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sugarcoat my decisions so that I look like I made the better ones. Like I'm not going to pretend like I made the right choices because, and that's what everyone else should do, so that I feel like I did. I know I didn't, and I got extremely lucky, but I seen an opportunity and I worked my ass off for it. But that's about it.
Yeah, I think that's an honest way of portraying it, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. Like when I started the business, I started out doing landscaping because it was like I didn't really have a whole lot of options, and it was easy to. There was a low barrier of entry, so it was like, okay, I can throw a lawnmower in my dad's pickup truck and cut a couple lawns, and that seems pretty easy. And I don't have a lot else going on right now, but you kind of stick with that. That was there
because what we used to say back in the day in the trades.
What's up?
If all else fails, start a landscaping company.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not that great. It's really not that great.
Because it's entry level, it's a commodity, and you're fighting at the bottom,
exactly.
Right? Yeah. But what motivated you is just more entrepreneurship, or?
It just, I don't know. There was I didn't have a whole lot of options. I tried going to college for like a really long time, and it never stuck. And
you were like a career student for a while.
I mean, I was taking so few classes that you could barely.
Privilege right there.
Yeah. I mean, I was working the whole time. I was paying for it myself.
Oh, were you really?
Yeah.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
I like that.
I didn't come for money or anything.
No, but somebody loved you.
And it was a community college. Don't want to.
Yeah, it was a
yeah.
No, I don't mean to poo-poo on your education, but it was a bit cheaper.
It wasn't much of an education, honestly.
Was it more like an eye-opener to how useless an education is, probably, you think?
Yeah. I mean, I went for like 6 years and almost got a 2-year degree.
Wow.
And yeah. No, this was no cake.
And you paid
walk.
for it? So every time you're making the payments and like, what are you skipping class after you pay them?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never even heard of that. I went to not a community college, worse, a private, like hole-in-the-wall college. I don't know if you guys ever what do they have here? What's called DeVry.
Yeah.
It's like one of those
online?
It's a ghetto college. Yeah. It's to basically they target inner city kids with very little knowledge to take out student loans against a school that's a 9-month program and a diploma that leads to nothing and costs twice as much as the actual college would cost. And I did that because I was a fucking idiot, but I believe that was my only opportunity because they kind of I was always told when I was younger that college is for other kids.
Yeah,
it's not for me, and not just because of my grades, but because of my position in life and our position in society. And so I was always, and I believed it. I believed that college was for just suburban kids who are happy with haircuts and Nikes.
You got a nice haircut now. And nice Nikes.
Because I'm 36 years old.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I think getting into the business, like, you just kind of get in where you can. Like for me, it was landscaping was a low barrier of entry, but it led to doing like creative stuff in the backyard and building decks and patios. And that was the part that I really felt passionate about and saw that as a way that I could actually excel and use some of
and there was a hole in the market. Nobody was doing it. Right?
Yeah, there kind of was around
here.
Either
doing decks or you're doing landscaping and hiring deck guys to come in after you.
Yeah.
And for me, the first project I ever did where I did every square inch of the backyard, I was like, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do with my life. And I started the company with nothing, even though I should have probably at least saved money. This wasn't my strong suit. And I just figured out a plan to do it with no credit, no cash, and just figure out how to do it and bootstrap it. And I got lucky once again.
Yeah. I think you get in where you can, and then your passion will just kind of lead you to where you should go. Like I think it's just a random, group of decisions that led me to this point where we're building backyards. But I think no matter what, I would have been doing something that was creative, that was where I could build something and create, like take a vision and make it real. Like
that's the best part.
I think it could have been a bunch of different things that I could have fallen into, but this just happened to, like, the circumstances that came to be happened, and it was just a way for me to express creativity and have some fulfillment about it,
and get paid to do it. I think that's the big thing, because you can do other things to, like hobbies that will exercise your creativity and your ability to kind of do that, but you don't get paid for those. And this was a way to make a career out of something where, your child, like, your inner child is happy too. You know what I mean? Because you're, yeah. And honestly, if that's what people are referring to when they say it's better than an office job, I'm sure.
There you go. All right. And on that note, we're at our happy hour anyway. And yeah. Hey, look at that. We all came together at the end. And this was therapeutic, wasn't it?
I don't know. Every conversation I have is like this, just normally without microphones.
Yeah, no, I will agree with that. You call me all the time, and it is just like this. Yeah. But now we're in beanbag chairs and we're in person.
It's
so how great is this? Well, Gord, you're doing some really cool stuff. You're doing a ton of content. You're doing now Beat the Bully, where you invite internet haters to build against you on YouTube, and you are doing Beat the Bully live. A lot of really cool stuff happening. So tell people where they can find you.
You find me at WoodBully on all the platforms, if you haven't found me yet. April 14th to 17th we're doing, or 15th to 17th we're doing Beat the Bully live, where it's a build off, not necessarily against a hater. He doesn't hate me, but it's a deck build off where we both have a 20 by 20 square, and we're just doing the best our company can do in 3 days in those squares. And it's live, open to the public to come and watch firsthand, while we also make a YouTube video at the same time. We'll have some vendors there, some brand sponsors, have some tents, giveaways, that kind of stuff. And and we're still going to film, the regular stuff that you're not allowed to watch, but and you'll just have to wait for that to pop up on YouTube randomly, I guess.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to see it. It's been cool to watch them as they've come out. So, Gord, thanks for stopping by the studio. You're only the second live guest that we've had in here. And till next time, this has been the Hardworking Happy Hour.
See you next week.
Bye.